And it's amazing.
It's now 7:45 a.m. Saturday, December 30th, 2000. We have moderate to heavy snow falling, and we have now approximately 6 inches on the ground. And here we are at the back of the house. The view from the front door. View from the back door. My garden from the west side. And from the southwest side. From the south side. And from the southeast side. Here's my garden from the south side. My garden from the northeast side. Garden from the north side. My garden from the northwest side. Around view from the back of the backyard. Around view from the backyard. Spin around view from the front yard. Spin around view from in front of the front yard. End of 8 o'clock with a half a foot of snow on the ground.
Has moon roof, leather, ABS,
A $2,385 value, no charge for thousands less than Camry XLE. But you must act now to lease Sable with no down payment and no security deposit for $329 a month for 36 months with only $329 cash to its son. Get the details at your Mercury dealer or at daretocomparemercury.com.
Good morning. A major winter storm blowing up the East Coast. More than a foot is predicted in some areas. Hundreds of flights have been canceled, dozens of others delayed. As one airline spokesman said, it's going to be ugly. Today, Saturday, December 30th, 2000.
From NBC News, this is Today with Soledad O'Brien and David Bloom. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
Good morning, I'm David Bloom.
And I'm Soledad O'Brien, and Janice Huff joins us as well this morning as we continue to track the storm.
And when you look at all those cancellation boards at the airport, you can see the impact this is having, not just here, but across the country.
Janice, you had mentioned that the snow could be falling as fast as an inch an hour.
Maybe even 2 inches per hour in some areas
Wow,
today.
it's really amazing.
It's amazing. Coming up with us, the new year upon us, we'll talk with pediatrician Mark Whittam about some simple New Year's resolutions that could have a big impact on your children's health. And if one of your resolutions is to get away from it all, especially all this weather, we'll tell you about the cruise ship wars and all the great cruise ship deals waiting for you.
Also this morning, we talk with Oscar winner Matt Damon about his new movie. It's called All the Pretty Horses. And we check out one of the hottest new bands around and the 70 and 80-year-olds who make up the band, the Buena Vista Social Club.
That's great. First, let's get caught up on the latest on the storm. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell's at the news desk. Good morning again, Kel.
We're watching the weather. This morning, that huge winter storm snow system surprising even forecasters a bit, whipping into the New York area about 3 hours early. The storm pounding the region, first gathering steam off Virginia, Delaware, and Maine, then marching toward New Jersey. NBC's Hillary Lane is live at Times Square in New York City this morning. And Hillary, I wonder if when the ball drops, it'll hit a snowdrift.
Well, actually, that is a very, very good question, Kelly. I'm right here in the middle of Times Square, and I must tell you, there are very few things that will quiet down New York City, and one of them is a major snowstorm. Very few cars on the streets behind me, and even at this time of the morning, and even on a Saturday morning, Broadway would usually have plenty of cars, plenty of traffic. Let me show you. Right above me is where the ball will drop on midnight, Sunday night, ushering in the new year. I don't know up there if there's quite going to be a snowdrift. They are working pretty hard to get these streets cleared off, and I'm not sure what they're doing up on top of that building. But let me show you the accumulation already. This is it. Nobody has touched this cup since this morning. Snow's been falling since 4:30 a.m. This would make a pretty good snowball, I would say. Kelly?
Looks like a good snow cone as well. You could probably get a few bucks for that on a typical New York corner.
I don't know if I would eat this in New York City, though.
Yeah, that's probably good advice. Thank you, Hillary. Stay warm. We appreciate that. Well, this winter storm already putting the big chill on travel, causing hassles and delays in the air and on the ground. NBC's Virginia Cha has more on that from Newark International Airport. And Virginia, tell me, are things slow going there?
Oh, definitely, Kelly. We are in the thick of it here. Many delays as well as cancellations. We understand from Continental Airlines that they pre-canceled 225 flights yesterday in anticipation of this big storm. This morning, their first flight was supposed to go out at 6 a.m. It has not left, but it is on the tarmac being de-iced. They have 4 planes being de-iced right now, but so far, none of them have taken off. Now, in Philadelphia, we're told by the FAA that they're having trouble clearing the snow off the runways, and of course, that is creating delays there, which creates delays at other airports. It's a bit of a domino effect. So, of course, you've heard this before, but the best advice is if you need to go to the airport today, either to pick someone up or to get out, you need to call ahead and find out what's happening with your flight.
Thanks. That's good advice, Virginia. And in Chicago and the Midwest, often the headquarters for brutal winter weather, folks there know the drill. Already clobbered by a similar storm, people there now focused on thawing out and cleaning up. NBC's Kevin Tibbles is in Chicago this morning. And Kevin, tell us what's happening there.
Well, Kelly, the sun's coming up here in the Midwest, and it is still snowing another 5 to 7 inches. While you folks down east are going to have to brace for what could be the biggest storm in 5 years. Across the Midwest, more snow this month than in 50 years, the second coldest winter on record. Chicago fights back with a fleet of 250 salt trucks, while the people tough it out.
Sticking close to home. I don't trust the weather.
And that heavy weather just keeps on rolling, now headed for the East Coast, hitting today.
We'll have a huge blanket of heavy snow, in some places over a foot, say from Philadelphia, New York, all the way up towards the Boston area.
Already, snow crews across the eastern seaboard prepare for the worst. In New York alone, 353 salt spreaders and nearly 1,500 snowplows. It's their job to keep Times Square open New Year's Eve. And for those starting or ending a vacation, a warning.
I think people who are planning their travels need to plan accordingly, whether it's by road, air, whatever.
A run on snow supplies in places like Boston.
We've sold more shovels and more ice melter this year than we had all of last year.
And as the Midwest wakes up to find its driveways plowed in, people are now starting to wonder whether they're going to have to measure this storm in terms of inches of snow or feet. Kelly?
That's a daunting thought. Thank you, Kevin. And this morning, tens of thousands of people are still without power in the southern plain states after last week's ice storm. And that devastating winter weather is being blamed for at least 40 deaths. Here's NBC's Ron Blome.
Up in the sky, amidst the ice and above the wires, the battle is being fought to bring power back to almost 300,000 Arkansas homes. Utility crews from 21 states engaged in a massive rebuilding effort. And their work is being closely watched.
If we could just have power for a couple of days, I'd be happy about it.
Gina Norris and her son Charlie have good reason to be anxious. No power here for 3 days. Being cold outside is better than being indoors.
It's warmer out here in the sun than it is in the house. We went in and we came right back out.
The sunshine gave Governor Mike Huckabee a chance to tour the state by air, to look down on a world of shattered trees and a paralyzed state.
Well, I think one of the things we were able to do was to hear firsthand how some of the people are dealing with the disaster that we've had. And we were able also, I think, to share with them the things that are being done to help get them back in business.
And tree trimmers are looking over their shoulders and not just at the ice.
A wet snow or more ice or high winds would bring the trees down that's already loaded with ice.
This morning, the Army of Utility Workers continues their race to restore power to those left in the dark and the cold. It is also a race against a weather forecast that could bring more trouble. Ron Blome, NBC News, Little Rock, Arkansas.
And that is the latest. Time now for the weather with Janice and a more detailed forecast.
Today's weather is brought to you by Chloraseptic. Nothing works faster on sore throat pain than Chloraseptic. Real relief, real fast.
Thanks, Kelly. Good morning, everybody. If you live anywhere along the Northeast Corridor, you know that today is a day to be indoors with a hot cup of cocoa. Blizzard-like conditions through early this afternoon for the New York City metro area, which is now getting the brunt of the storm. The storm will move up the eastern seaboard and into New England later on tonight. There'll be blowing and drifting of snow into Sunday. Rain and snow mix along the coast. Even Boston will see some changeover to rain as the storm progresses to the north. That hasn't really started in your area yet, but it will later on today. We're expecting upwards of a foot of snow or more west of Boston at Worcester, also around New York City, points west into New Jersey and the lower Hudson Valley of New York and interior sections of New England. This is a storm we haven't seen quite like this since the blizzard of '96. The rest of the nation, actually, depends on where you are. The northern plains is pretty cold, but at least the sun is out in Arkansas today. Chilly, though, 45 for a high in New Orleans today, 67 around Miami. The west is best, except for some fog in the Pacific Northwest and some rain. You'll see temperatures in the 60s and 70s as you head farther south into California. 74 in Los Angeles today. Seems like the place to be if you're compounded with snow. That is, unless you like snow. That's what's going on around the nation. Here's your local forecast.
Thank you, Janice. Well, you heard the update on the storm moving through the Northeast for today. We do have a winter storm warning in effect for the entire tri-state area. Looking at Doppler 4000, we do have snowfall, some of it quite intense, especially over the 5 boroughs and northeastern New Jersey. Let's take a look at some of the accumulations we've reported so far. Anywhere between 5 inches around Harrison, 5.4 in Caldwell, to about an inch towards Bridgeport, Connecticut. But final amounts could be anywhere up to a foot of snow over northeastern New Jersey.
And now here's Soledad.
Janice, thanks. All morning we've been updating you on the progress of the big snowstorm moving across the eastern seaboard. Here again with the very latest, Dr. Jim Hoke of the National Weather Service Prediction Center in Camp Springs, Maryland. Good morning to you once again, Dr. Hoke. Let's begin with the latest. New York City and the surrounding area still predicted to be the hardest hit in this storm?
That's right. That area is right on the path for the heaviest precipitation. Our forecasters here.
The Lexus December to Remember sales event is going on now through January 2nd. Whether you buy or lease, you'll find values you never dreamed possible. So this year, make sure you get the gift you really want. Hurry in to your Lexus dealer today.
Can your radio do this? Only one radio can give you stereo sound this big, yet is small enough to fit almost anywhere. The extraordinary Wave Radio from Bose. Press the remote control and hear big, rich sound that fills the room. Sounds so rich, Popular Science called it a sonic marvel. You hear music the way it was meant to be heard. Clear, full, incredibly lifelike. You've got to hear the Wave Radio to believe it. And now you can, satisfaction guaranteed. Call toll-free to hear it in your home. Ask about our free shipping offer and interest-free payment plan. Experience big stereo sound from a radio. Call today.
With our 12-month payment plan, the Wave Radio CD is just $41.58 a month.
Next week on Atmospheres, guiding ships in and out of port is rough when the weather is bad. Plus, the weather may be the secret ingredient to making award-winning wines. Don't miss Atmospheres, hosted by meteorologist Jim Cantori and Mish Michaels, Wednesdays at 8 on the Weather Channel.
Right now, it's time for your local forecast on the Weather Channel. Currently, the temperature is 23 degrees with snow. The forecast for your area. Expect fair skies Monday through Wednesday with temperatures in the 20s on Monday.
Get out that snow shovel. You're going to need it in parts of the Midwest and Northeast today. This is what it looked like in Minneapolis on Friday. You have 15 inches of snow on the ground this morning, and you'll see flurries later today.
Expect heavy snowfall in places like New York City, New Jersey, and Boston today. The snow is falling in the Big Apple at this hour. We'll take you there for a live report. Plus, it's windy and very cold across the south. Details ahead on Weather Center. Good morning and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Melissa Barrington.
And I'm Bob Stokes. There's a big storm churning off the mid-Atlantic coast, and as a result, we're going to see some pretty impressive snowfall amounts in portions of the Northeast. Folks in Philadelphia are waking up to the white stuff on this Saturday. You've already picked up 2 inches of snow in Philadelphia this morning, 5 inches in an eastern suburb, and you could get as much as 12 inches before the day is over. We'll take you to Philadelphia for a live report later in this segment of Weather Center. Our winter weather expert, Paul Cosin, is tracking the storm. He joins us now with the latest. Paul?
Well, a small storm system, but very explosive and very serious situation, now focusing in on New Jersey, New York, and the Philadelphia metropolitan area, especially to the east. is rapidly evolving, and we'll be updating that through the day. But let's go immediately to the radars and take a look at what's going on now. This is a map of the radars and temperatures going on with our storm system now off the southern New Jersey coast. So what we're going to see is low pressure continuing to move towards the north-northeast. Note that temperatures across Long Island starting to rise above 32 degrees. We'll see the same thing across southeastern New England, but the real focus right now across much of New Jersey. Philadelphia, you're on the western edge, but we're starting to see some of these echoes beginning to move towards the north. So we're going to be watching to see whether the snow will be ending from south to north across southern New Jersey. At the same time, winds are going to be picking up. But as upper level energy continues to come from the east, we'll see the snow begin to expand towards the west and northwest as it spreads northward across New Jersey. But it looks like right now, from much of south and central New Jersey upward towards New York City and up into the lower Hudson Valley of New York, that's where we're going to see accumulations on the order of a foot, if not more, by later this afternoon. To the northwest, again, a very sharp line delineating between snow and no snow. So there will be sometimes a difference of only 20 miles that separate between where is the snow versus, oh my God, we've got a half a foot on the ground, and we're going to have to carefully monitor where that western edge is going to be. But right now, still, the focus is going to be right here in New York City, spreading towards New England, and we will be following it through the hour by hour because this is a very strong storm system at this current time. Let's go now to Philadelphia with Jim Cantori, who's, oh, it's Jennifer in New York City. Sorry, Jennifer. It's snowing hard.
It certainly is. It's hard to see me, but thank goodness I'm wearing red because I'm surrounded by all the fluffy stuff this morning, where more than 4 inches have come down here in Central Park. I'm standing on Central Park West, just next to the park. It has been beautiful throughout the morning with the snow coming through. Now it's starting to be a little on the lighter side as opposed to heavier when we were just out here 30 minutes ago. Let's go into Central Park. There have been a few joggers out, believe it or not, or I'll call them dedicated runners, running through the park and getting some exercise. It is a beautiful sight this morning. A few people have been out and about. They have had plowers come through and help to remove some of the snow throughout the park as well as on the streets of New York City. Now, this is a busy weekend for New York City, as is many weekends out of the year, but with New Year's Eve celebration in full force in Times Square tomorrow, many people from tourists from all over the country have come, and they're pretty excited about the snow coming through.
I'm so happy for seeing the snow for the first time.
Happy and cold.
Yes, very cold.
It's going to be an adventure of a lifetime, and I can't wait.
And then you go back to Florida?
Yes, on Monday.
All right, going back to the Sunshine State on Monday, but let's go right now to Pennsylvania, to Philadelphia, and see how things are looking there. Jim?
Well, Jennifer, we continue to have the snow here, and occasionally it does burst to an inch and a half an hour. We've seen the visibility come up very, very little here. Let's check out the skyline. Now, we're looking south on Benjamin Franklin here, and you can see not many cars out this morning. Roads are very, very slippery, not only on the major thoroughfares, but also here in town. And, you know, you may or may not be able to faintly pick out the skyline behind us, but needless to say, it's still coming down pretty good, and we're easily getting at least a half inch to 3/4 of an inch an hour. Beautiful sight, though, this morning here, with the trees all flocked with snow. It's a very light and fluffy snow. You could go down and just kind of fluff it up here, and it doesn't take much to have this snow come up. So when that wind kicks up this afternoon, it's going to be blowing and drifting around, and that's going to cause more problems on the roads. How much snow have we gotten so far? Let's check it out. Got the old ruler just sitting there in the snow, and we're up around 4.5 inches, so it's still coming down. Sure, there's probably a little packing that's going on at times, especially with the breaks in the snow, but still 4.5, 5 inches. You go west about 25 miles toward Westchester, points west, not a lot of anything. It's amazing. We are right on that fine line here, but needless to say, if you're heading in town from the western suburbs, you're in for quite a surprise, as we have anywhere from 4 to 5 inches of snow on the ground. Still coming down. It looks like it's going to be for a while, and then we're going to have to deal with the wind and the cold. We'll keep you posted here from Philadelphia. Right now, let's go back to Bob Stokes.
What a way to end the year. Jim Cantori in Philadelphia, in his element. We'll be checking back with you. Yes, a beautiful picture too, but a dangerous travel situation in that a winter storm warning is in effect for Philadelphia as well as New York. We could see several inches of snow in New York City, up to a foot of it, as this coastal low moves fairly rapidly toward the northeast. It was generated by an upper level system, which you see spinning over the Great Lakes now, and a lot of moisture. The Gulf water is helping to supply the energy for this storm as it moves northeastward. Heavy snow reported in New York City right now. Here's our current surface features. We do have that low, the surface low, the upper level low over the Midwest, as well as the surface low with snows in the Midwest, but heavy amounts of snow east of Philadelphia, and later today as we get into Boston, this will track toward the northeast and provide 6 to 12 inches northwest of Boston. We think that's where the heaviest amounts will occur as far